Not a lot of green on the screen today, as you know. However, you probably didn't look at Bitcoin. Tanae McKeel did, and she's here. It's up 3%. What do you make of the way that this has been trading? It's decoupled, obviously, from the NASDAQ, which was a trend for a while. How do you see it?
Something that people were looking for all month, because if you go back to earlier this month, it really was trading in line with stocks. It just was not seeing the big, pops and drops that, one, we're used to seeing out of Bitcoin, and two, it is outperforming the S&P. It has not really caught up with gold, the leading safe haven, but I think you are seeing evidence, not just, I think that the obvious and easy narrative would be that we're talking about Fed independence today, so Bitcoin is kind of acting as that hedge against political uncertainty. But I also think that it's not just enthusiasm, it's also exhaustion. You're seeing people, investors wanting to get back into risk, but just maybe not the type of risk that's tied to earnings or Fed policy.
You got a quick thought?
I do. Look, you've got a president who's very interested, and his family's very interested in Bitcoin doing well, and crypto doing well. And I think you're close to regulation or some positive announcements on policy, and that's what's driving it.
It's evidence, Bitcoin's supportive nature is evidence that we have not had a deleveraging event. Because you have a deleveraging event, everything's going down.
Well, it has underperformed the S&P and NASDAQ overall since the peak. Recently, though, to your point, it is trading pretty well, up from 82 just a week and a half or 2 weeks ago.
Real quick, last thought?
I think one of the hardest things for investors is to wrap their heads around the fact that day to day it does trade like a risk asset, but medium long term it trades like a safe haven. If you look at gold's outperformance, that kind of can act as an indicator of where Bitcoin heads when the dust kind of settles.
And the narrative is changing. You're sitting there hearing them say Bitcoin is a safe haven. It's a risk asset, but a safe haven, a long-term hold. That's the same as gold. And right here, breaking news, Cantor, Tether, Bitfinex are creating a multi-billion-dollar Bitcoin acquisition vehicle that will absorb billions in Bitcoin. This is a report from the Financial Times. Just reading the article really quick. They raised $200 million in January and will use the cash to create a new firm called 21 Capital, and also receive $3 billion in funding in Bitcoin from other cryptocurrency investors and trading firms. Tether will contribute $1.5 billion, while SoftBank and Bitfinex will contribute $900 and $600 million respectively. Lightning's vehicle will raise a $350 million convertible bond and separate $200 million private placement of equity to buy additional Bitcoin. So more Bitcoin buying from institutions. Also, Apple, Google, Cash App alums ditch big tech to build on Bitcoin. Fueled by VC money and a friendly White House, Bitcoin has become the launchpad for founders and engineers walking away from Silicon Valley jobs to embrace open source code, off-grid mining, and decentralized finance. And in latest news, with tariff news, Trump to meet with Xi in early May. This is from Rutgers about 15 minutes ago. If there is some type of trade agreement with China and the United States, that will send markets even higher. Right now, India has been sitting at the table with the U.S. and they have been in talks and come to some type of trade agreement going through the year 2030. And right now, this is the big decoupling. What you're seeing the current time this recording, Bitcoin was coming in at 93.5. But year to date, Bitcoin is in the green, while the NASDAQ is 13% in the red and the S&P is 10% in the red. So that is your safe haven narrative. And take a quick break. You guys want to get up-to-date information from the Bitcoin Bros, make sure you guys go ahead and follow us at Bitcoin Bros 26 and subscribe to the channel. And current time this recording, we're coming in at 93,443. What do we see? What do we anticipate? This is Bitcoin on the daily chart. As you see, back on April 7th, Bitcoin was down to 78,000 and right now up to 93.4K. So you're talking about almost a $20,000 swing in less than a few weeks. And we've showed you these levels to pay attention to, and Bitcoin has held the 83 level. We've traded in the channel, broke out of the 85 range with a massive candle. We told you this was going to happen, and the major level to pay attention to is where we are right now. We're over the 92, but we need to stay above 92,000 and get a candle close. This is on the weekly. This is on the 3-day chart. So if we get a candle close above 92,000 by Friday this week, we should get a continuation up to the next level, which would be around 102,000. So if we get this, I mean, we could have a continuation before then, but we need this candle to close above 92. This candle close will happen in less than 72 hours. We'll get that candle close, and the next target to the upside will be 102,000 and potential new all-time highs. Arthur Hayes is weighing in. He's saying once we breach 110, the previous all-time high, it'll likely surge farther, and we might just fall short right below 200K, but the rotation will then begin from Bitcoin into altcoins for those that are interested in the alt market. MicroStrategy at the closed at 343. Sorry, now strategy. And if we want to know what the price is after hours, we're seeing 355. So we're up $12 after hours. We could see a gap up in the price. Definitely bullishness for strategy. Dave the Waves weighing in, seeing some type of potential inverse head and shoulders that could play out. This would go into the narrative of the sell in May and go away. During bull cycles and business cycles in general, April and May are bullish time frames, and May is a time to sell going into the summer lull. So this could get us up to new all-time highs by sometime before the end of May. We'll have a retracement going to the summer. Everybody will think the bull market's over, but we'll be forming a macro inverse head and shoulders pattern. And by September, Q3, Q4 of this year, we'll be seeing Bitcoin up towards that $150,000 to $200,000 price target that we've been telling you. We've seen about September, October to be that time frame of when we could hit that price target, but it could come a little sooner, come a little later, but Q3, Q4 is still to look at. Once again, sell in May and go away, not financial advice. And also, Stock Money Lizards is saying 97K is the end boss. And this sort of goes in hand with what we just said. You see this big rounding head pattern. Got to break these levels. You see all this traffic back here around the $97,000 threshold. Once we break that level, we will come up to previous all-time highs before then having that potential inverse head and shoulders pattern that we just showed you here. That right shoulder would need to form. People would say this, the top is in, it's over with, and that's just a buying opportunity before markets get bullish again towards the end of July. With all this upwards momentum, Bitcoin right now is heading towards 94,000. There's traffic looking back at the charts around 95.8K, but it should, once we get past that 95.8K, we should be coming back up to the 101.7K. And once again, once we get back up there, which could happen sometime in May, we could have some candle buys close above that and test previous all-time highs, get back up towards 110,000 before this move gets exhausted going to the summer, have some type of lull. People will think it's over with, buying opportunity to buy the dip, and going into the end of 2025, the business cycle will stay intact. And looks like we could be seeing that blow off top by the end of the year. We have to see what's going on in the macro economy, because if we get the Fed rate cuts, right now there's 2 rate cuts that are priced in. Could be going down to 3 to 3.5 percentage points. As far as the overall financial markets go, we'll see if that gets priced in. We'll see what goes on with the relationship between Trump and Powell moving forward this year, and Z and Trump with the China-US tariff talks. All this goes into play. But with that, that's all we have for you today. I'm Sean with the Bitcoin Bros. If you guys like this content, go ahead and smash the like button. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and show us some love. We appreciate each and every one of you. And with that, I'm out.